So you went 423, and the state record at that time was 427. And it stood for 14 years at this point, and you blew that out of the water. I mean, that's pretty significant anytime you break a 14-year-old record by 4 seconds. Did you have a sense at that point in your development you were going to go well under that time? How did you approach the state record when we talked with Clay? He had his eyes on you the entire year that year, his junior year. Was that the case for you? Did you have your eyes on Bailey the entire year?
Yeah, I was definitely shooting for that record. And I think because I had trained with the club, I went to a meet we used to go to in Buffalo. It was just kind of like an invite right before Christmas. And I think I went 428 or something like that at that meet. And that was just, a touch of rest. And I was training really well and had a great meet there. So I knew, with a little bit more work and a little bit more rest, I'd have a shot at getting under it. I didn't know what I could go. We were training so much that, I just knew something good was going to happen. I just had to go out there and swim my best race that I could. So, I didn't think I was going to get under 420 or anything like that, but I thought, somewhere in the low 20s was a possibility.
Did you, in fact, swim your best race? Because Clay spent about 10 minutes yesterday telling me about how he took his first 200 out in 142.2, and they spent the next 75 yards regretting it before he gathered himself for the last 200. How did you execute that 423?
So I think I actually went faster in prelims than I did at finals. And I'll chalk that up to inexperience and just probably caught up in the emotion of, wanting the opportunity to break the record. And I maybe went like a half second slower the next day in finals and just didn't feel as sharp. A little more seasoned guy would have said, don't put all your eggs in the prelims basket, just make it back. I could have gone 435 and been one of the top 3 seeds, but I just didn't have the veteran experience to do that. So yeah, I don't know if Clay, I don't remember if I swam it. I think I swam it pretty good. But I know the feeling of caught up in the emotion going out too fast. And that's easy for a high school swimmer to do.
For sure. Hey, I want to cut in here real quick because, I really wanted to join this call to really talk with Peter. And, if you could remember back when you broke the American record at Oakland in your own pool.
Yeah.
I was right next to you.
I remember.
And, and you lapped me. And I remember during the race when you were lapping me, I was like trying to stay with you. I was like, man, I don't want to mess this guy up. But I remember before the race looking over to you, and that was the first time I ever saw a full bodysuit. I looked over and you were ready to go. Like you were in the zone, and I've never seen that kind of focus before or adrenaline. And it was so cool that, Peter stayed in the water, and, he shook my hand and he shook the other guy's hands, and somebody on my team, their mother, took a picture of, Peter and I shaking hands. And, that was in my bedroom blown up until I left for college. And,
that's cool.
Having that experience with Peter in 8th grade, and then knowing the success that he had when he got older, the only thing that I was gunning for when I was a sophomore and junior was trying to be as fast as Peter. And, that 423, that 500, that is all I could think about all the time. And I kept on thinking to myself, like, how fast is this guy going in practice? Because I kept on getting there, and we were, getting faster in the 500. But knowing that somebody has gone through that high school sport before, whether training at Ole or the high school, it was possible. And if it wasn't for that kind of experience that I had face to face, which completely, changed some aspects of the sport, I really don't think I would have been able to get to where I did without, the people that really came before me. And, Peter being one of them, it completely sort of changed the outlook of, my high school years. So honestly, yeah, thank you, Peter.
Well, that's cool. And I remember because you were, do you remember what you went in that race?
I was 440 at that race.
Yeah, I mean that was no slouch swim for an eighth grader. And I remember thinking 440 when I was in eighth grade, I was going like 5:15 or something, not even, I bet. And watching you kind of come up later and the times you were doing was super cool too. What's interesting about this whole call is I remember thinking that way about guys like Matt and guys in his generation, that it's cool to watch older guys go fast, and that is what inspires the younger generation. And you see that and you say that is possible, and that's why we keep getting faster and faster, all these kids.
Yeah,
it's just cool.
I agree with you, Peter. And I know there's people that probably way too old for you guys to remember that I used to look up to and be like, wow, man, I want to do what they're doing. And then you get to that point and you're like, all right, well, now what? And then, you swim and you're like, well, all right, yeah, 48.8 in the flat, it's pretty fast. But looking down the pipeline, there's a kid named, Chris DeJong who's going to kick my butt's record, or like Peter Vanderkaay, or Clay Youngquist and Will Hamilton. Those kids are pretty damn fast. So, as soon as you're done, you look back and you're like, wow, I'm really watching what these kids are doing. And you never sit there and think, oh, well, maybe I was inspiration for them. We all have our inspiration, and then just you keep you look back and you're looking back at Dressel's 17, and you're just like, wow, these kids are so fast. And for both of you, I remember sitting there thinking the same thing, like, wow, man, someone to put dissect these kids, because these two are way too fast. So I hear you, man, and I completely understand that, and it's very awe-inspiring to be sitting there in races, like Clay was saying, with these older kids, and you're like, wow, you're amongst greatness, and there's nothing to do but to replicate that and leave your mark, right? Yeah, I get it. And that, Clay, very well put.
Yeah, absolutely. It's cool.
That's the best 5 to 10 minutes of the series so far. That little section with Clay telling his memory of you doing what you did. I mean, that's really cool.